here on the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand. Bryan Shaw, Chef Tony Biggs, coming to you from across the table from each other. It's nice, safe, socially distanced.
We are.
Yeah.
I think we're 6 foot, right? We're about a 6-footer, like an 8-foot table.
Yeah.
We got a 6-foot table in front of us.
That's right.
So it's legit.
There's at least the size of an NBA point guard between us right now. So. No, we're not talking about the oversized, the Darren Williams.
Oh no,
we're talking about the Kevin Ollie sized NBA point guards here. That's the space that's between us. That means that we are coming to you in person from the studio in the basement of the world headquarters of premium beef, certified Angus beef in Worcester, Ohio. And Chef, I want to talk to you today about a topic that really it was just kind of something that we threw against the wall to see if it would stick, see if there would be interest in it. It's a deep dive down a rabbit hole. There's once you start to crest the idea of food trucks and why they're successful, why they aren't successful, you start to realize that food trucks really run parallel to American cuisine all the way back to really to the days when America was founded. Tell me, when you talk about food trucks, right? It seems like they run this roller coaster of they're in vogue, they're not necessarily in vogue. They've got a poor reputation, they've got great reputations. Obviously, it seems like now food trucks are all over the place, right?
They're just all over the place. I just can't believe the things that I've seen that have been done in food trucks, from giant chocolate chip cookies, on the corner of a college, of University of Massachusetts, to Baby Burke, which is also in Amherst, Massachusetts, and the food rivals restaurants, and it's as you know, you've had the Gaardbos on here, and you could eat in a food truck in New York City, and you think you're not paying a tip, you're not paying a gratuity, but you're getting some amazing food. And when you see that line, here's the secret: when you see that line that's a mile long, looking for an Oreo cheesecake with a Guinness Stout sauce, it's a good one, right?
That's right. Lines draw crowds, right?
Lines draw crowds,
yeah.
And so. Hey, I grew up. I was born in Daytona, and Daytona you can drive on the beach. The sand is so hard. So, the first food trucks that I remember are these Volkswagen vans that they turned into. Let's sell a snow cone out of it, or let's have a steamed hot dog out of with a like a little tent, and you could get everything in there, from candy to snow cones to hot dogs to cotton candy, and the food truck has just evolved. It's amazing. And I love them. When I go to New York and I'm on the run and I want something quick, if I want a falafel, I know the perfect guy in the corner of 57th that's going to be the greatest falafel sandwich of all time.
Yeah. They're everywhere. And it's funny when you start to research, when you start to look at the evolution of the food truck, you realize that they've always just kind of been there as America went through the Industrial Revolution. New York City is where the food truck is really credited with beginning. A lot of the old time roach coaches would pull up alongside when a lot of those Manhattan skyscrapers were being built. They'd feed the construction workers. At the same time, and this is kind of warms my heart working for Certified Angus Beef, where we actually get to work with farmers and ranchers. Another version of a food truck was a chuck wagon out west, where they would roll in and feed the cowboys on the cattle drive. Like, these are all different variations of the food truck up to present day. We're still, of course, our pal Kent Rollins out in Hollis, Oklahoma, is still doing the chuck wagon thing, feeding cowboys. Food trucks on the other end, for me, they've almost taken on a mythical status, right? Some of my favorite ones that, they're here in Northeast Ohio, but sometimes it's like, they're out there, but you don't see them because maybe they're mobile, right? So maybe they're not there on certain days. So, but it's, I think about some of the most famous ones that come across. Of course, our pal Chris Hodgson up in Cleveland with the Hodgepodge truck, or its predecessor, Dim and Den some. You go to New York City, you can't miss the Big Gay Ice Cream truck. They're everywhere. And Chef, I'm curious to get your perspective because there was a time when it seemed like food trucks were a way to get your foot into the culinary world. You start on a food truck, you build your brand. Our pal Alvin Kylon, who would have been on the podcast last year, started the Egg Slut food truck out in Los Angeles. The idea was that eventually you grow out of it, you get your brick and mortar, and you're home free. It seems like that's kind of been turned on its head, though. I mean, would you agree you're seeing a lot of established chefs, former podcast guests like Anthony DiBernardo has got the Swig Rig at Swig and Swine in Charleston, or our guest coming up here in about 10 minutes, Greg Gaardbo, Chicago Culinary Kitchen. They've just added a food truck. They've already got a successful restaurant. What to you, why has that happened?
Well, the one thing great about food trucks, it's very mobile. Okay, so there's quite a few different types of food trucks. There's one that can be pulled by a Suburban, and so it's a standalone food truck that you can work out of. You can put a smoker in there. I've seen this guy down in Asheville, South Carolina, who actually is it's equipped with a beautiful smoker to do certified Angus beef briskets. He's got a fryer in there. He has a flat top grill, an 8-burner propane stove. So this guy is ready for bear. He can do everything from burger to a beautiful brisket sandwich. So it's amazing. So it's kind of like, yes, they have the brick and mortar. Christina and Greg, they go down to the Bears football every Sunday, and they just open up their food truck.
Yeah,
there's something about food truck. It's the wrapping, and the personality of the truck as well. So everybody's got their own creative juices into their wrapping of the food truck, which I find really fascinating because it's not just an old truck. They've thought it out. They have the wrapping, they have the food, they have the service too. I mean, a lot of these guys and gals, it's kind of tough work because they have little commissaries off the food truck where they prepare everything in advance and then bring it to the food truck. So there's behind the scene like preparation that people don't really understand about food trucks.
Yeah.
So it's if you go to San Francisco and it's lunchtime, you could see 10 different food trucks from dessert to appetizers to pho to pot stickers to sandwiches. It's just amazing. So you can do a potpourri. You can go around. It's a diner round of food trucks, and it's just amazing. And guess what? It's a quarter of the price you would pay in a freestanding restaurant.
Yeah. Well, and that's my question for you is it used to be, it seems like there was a school of thought, you get your foot in the door with the food truck and then you go, right? Mm-hmm. With restaurants comes all of these added things, right? Or opportunities that you can do, plating and different cooking. With the food truck, you're very limited, and you're limited to what you can fit on the truck, what you can secure that's not going to fly around when you're driving around the corner. But is there an element of cooking that because you're limited to those, that's almost a little bit more freeing because you don't have to put out a perfectly plated dish. You just have to put out something that's delicious.
No, I mean, and I think this goes back to Greg and Christina. They do an unbelievable slider. So they have a very nice flat top grill, maybe 4 to 7 feet in their rig, and they're able to pop out some unbelievable sliders like traditional and of course, they bring it to a new level, their sliders. And so, yeah, I mean, as long as it's really good, tasty, and affordable, people will come back. You do not have to have a center of the plate. It doesn't have to look like, a 5-star Michelin star restaurant. It can be good, and people just want to. They'll come back and come back and come back. There's a place in New England around Boston that serves chowder. I mean, that's it. Chowder with some oyster crackers on top, Tabasco. And it's just magical. I've ordered 2 or 3 at one time, right? So, yeah, just all I want is good food. I want an affordable price, and I want it quick.
Yeah. Well said. Chef, on that note, we are going to take a break and turn it over. We are going to sit down with probably pound for pound, along with, we'll say, Jeremy Omansky and Alvin Kylon, one of the most referenced individuals that this podcast, who appears in this podcast through our first 2 seasons, Greg Gaardbo, who is one of the most he's the Dos Equis man of food. You know, he's got a print business, he's got restaurants, he sets things on fire. He's got I just saw them post on the Facebook. They've got a lounge chair that's been in their living room that's got like a skeleton sitting in it.
It's funny. I've sat in that. I had to get out quickly though. Yeah.
So stick around here on the Meat Speak podcast. Greg Gaardbo from Chicago Culinary Kitchen, just outside of Chicago, out in Palatine, is going to be joining us to talk about the Chicago Culinary Kitchen food truck, and of course, he and his lovely wife Christina and their journey to where they're at. So stick around here on the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand. Back here on the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand, sitting in the dining room of at least what's going to be called Chicago Culinary Kitchen for a few months before it transforms into, what's the name again?
CCK Mex.
CCK Mex, Palatine, Illinois, just outside of Chicago O'Hare, if you are familiar with the greater Chicagoland area. I'm sitting here with a gentleman whose name comes up frequently on the podcast, and it's so good to actually have him on here so he can actually talk about himself instead of us talking about him. Greg Gaardbo, Chicago Culinary Kitchen. How you doing, sir?
Good, yourself? Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for for taking time to out of your Saturday prep, man. Saturday, Sunday are your biggest days. You guys are.
Well, it's our only days, really, that we're open to the public for here.
Yeah, so you guys are getting ready to turn and burn. Before we get into the nuts and bolts, and we've had a discussion about food trucks and the hows and the whys and kind of where it's at from a cultural standpoint. But before we get into that, tell us about Chicago Culinary Kitchen, how it started, where it's been, and you guys are, every time you turn around, it seems like another award is being thrown your way.
Well, we try to do the best we can. We try to serve the best products we can. Having the best partners, that always is very helpful. We started in the backyard. One thing led to another. We started catering. We started catering out of here, this location. We needed a commissary, so one thing led to another, and we started opening on the weekends, and some people didn't understand it, the weekend thing, and then it blossomed overnight. Then people will wait in line just to get in, just like any place you go in Texas sometimes.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. So Texas barbecue is what you guys opened on. It's what your standard menu that's actually sitting right above your head as we're sitting here features a lot of Texas barbecue classics, brisket, hot links. You guys intentionally won't sauce the brisket, correct?
No, we never. Why would I sauce brisket, right?
Spoken like a true Texan.
Yeah. Who would ever sauce brisket anyways? I don't like that. That'll anger me. Like if you put sauce on that, I'm like, it needs not sauce. Whatever, ribs I can understand, all that other stuff, but that beef should stand alone.
Bless you, brother. Bless you, brother. But aside from the Texas barbecue, and honestly, it's probably one of the biggest reasons that you guys come up in conversation. It seems like whenever we're talking about Diana Clark, who is obviously a big proponent of using cuts that most people don't use, you guys think outside of the box on a lot of things. It's your specials. I'm looking at the wall right now. You've got spicy kimchi, salsa verde. You've got a lot of your sides up right now. But you guys basically, in addition to the barbecue menu, you guys put specials on of basically whatever you're feeling like each week, right?
That's right. So the main menu never changes, and then the specials will always change because that allows me to do fun things. And yeah, we'll do specialty cuts of meat. I wish you guys wouldn't advertise sirloin flap anymore, because that was my jam, and now it's too expensive, whatever. But no, that's a really good cut. But a lot of times you can find different purveyors that have things, whether they're fresh to frozen or whatever, that like I have this week. Oh, I can make that work. So it's having a wide scope of things.
Excellent. So make sure I didn't hit the wrong button. There we go. About CCK, it's you. It's your wife Christina, who's a beer cicerone, which is I actually had to Google way back when I heard that for the first time. It's a beer sommelier, right?
Yes.
She's one of the most knowledgeable people. Actually, she has been a guest on the podcast before you. If you go back into the archives, she's featured in one of the barbecue episodes in season 2, along with Diva Q from down in Florida, talking about beer pairings and whatnot. But what you guys have built here is really, I mean, it's like a meat and beer empire. But if you look around the walls here, it's like, I mean, it's like an adult playground. There's derogatory statements about lettuce. It's meat, beer, skulls, rock and roll. I mean, this is knowing you and Christina. This is like, it's basically if you guys emptied out your brains and put it on a wall. This is you guys to a T, right?
It is. That's what it is. So, we took things that we liked and things we didn't like and did not. Of course, we didn't use those items we didn't like. But we've been to a lot of barbecue places, and a lot of them are always the same. It's, old rusty license plates and some stuff they found at a flea market and, whatever. It's that rustic look, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, I want to twist this up. I want to have the same thing, but only let's rock and roll this instead. Yeah. I can't listen to Conway Twitty music, even though it may be cute, but I just can't do it.
Not that there's anything wrong with Conway Twitty.
No.
As you guys have expanded, you have a mobile churrasco unit that you guys would have done a lot of. I think you actually did that before you had this space. Is that right?
Yes, we had the mobile churrascos first.
Yeah. So you guys, mobile churrascos, you guys do a lot down at Soldier Field. A lot of large scale catering type events with churrascos. You've got an old pickup truck that you guys have modified that you can actually cook under the hood on, which I think you've referred to as the battle wagon at times.
That's Mad Max.
That's Mad Max, right on. Noted. Mm-hmm. But parked out front is your food truck. Tell us about why was the food truck something that you guys wanted to dive into? Because a lot of times, you hear about restaurants, they start on a food truck, sort of build their reputation, and then they open the space like you guys have here in Palatine. You guys kind of went in reverse. Well, I guess what was the thought process behind, well, let's get a food truck now that we're already successful?
Well, opening 2 days a week, we're only open for 6 hours. Lunch, just like, let's say, Snow's, right? They're only open for breakfast. What time are they open? Like,
it's pretty limited, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, and I think they're only open on Saturday on top of it.
Yeah.
So, you create the demand and you control the supply, or is that the other way around? Yeah. The food truck was just another extension for us to bring people our food and to help get our name out there as well. Then, the food trucks is a very valuable asset to the restaurant.
Well, and tell us about the truck itself. It's not your standard food truck. It's your standard food truck from the standpoint of there are cooking devices on there. Mm-hmm. You guys turn and burn a lot of food out, and pump out a lot of food. But the modifications you guys have put in, the lights, everything that just draws attention. That if you guys pull up on a curb with that thing, people are going to notice.
Well, we've been to a lot of food truck events. And I noticed, or I took a picture, and everything just looked bland, right? Even though they had graphics or whatever on the wall or on the side of their trucks, everything just looked bland. So I'm like, how do I make this where this will stand out versus everybody else? It's no different than, you get served a plate of food. Everybody, you eat with your eyes first, right? So let's have a visual appeasing, this truck is all stainless on the outside or diamond-plated aluminum. So I know that it's going to reflect light no matter where we're at as well, and reflect the lightings that we have on there as well. So we have the LED lights, they'll shine in purple or pink, and we advertise the brand, CAB, Certified Angus Beef, of what our brand partners is there as well. So that's knowing that this is the beef that we're serving, or this is the burger that we're serving on here.
Excellent. Talk about the food. You guys put a lot of burgers off of that. You've got a flat top. You've got a grill. What is the menu that you guys push off of your truck versus what you guys are typically known for here?
So usually, again, the food truck, we can do anything on it. It's a $100,000 kitchen, right? So you can do whatever you want on that. It all depends what the customer wants as well. But typically we'll do chopped brisket, we'll do pulled pork, and we only do the chopped brisket on the truck. We don't do it here at the restaurant because I don't like chopping the brisket. But slicing brisket on the truck is very cumbersome on there, and people don't always understand it. So it's just best to chop the brisket. We'll do our ribs on there as well. We'll char them. And then again, it's the same thing. We'll do whatever. We do a lot of tacos on there as well. And like yesterday I did porchetta on there, and it's just freaking outstanding.
Yeah. All right, walk me through your porchetta. You guys tend to do things a little differently. I'm guessing it wasn't your standard porchetta.
This was very traditional for the most. Last week before I did a Korean one. So I stuffed it with kimchi and gochujang, and basically we made the marinade for char siu, and we just dropped it in the char siu overnight, and that thing was beautifully. The color was beautiful on it. So we kind of played with the flavors on that. The one we did the other day was very Mediterranean. Herbs, garlic, salt, pepper, lemon, fennel. You roll it up overnight, let it, salt, let it go, and then we sliced it the next day after we cooked it, and then we refrigerated it, and then we sliced it, and then we put it on the flat top for a sandwich then. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's beautiful. One of the things that I noticed, and honestly one of my pet peeves about food trucks in general is, obviously the lines are great, right? It's good for business. But sometimes you can only push food out so quickly on a food truck. You guys have added an alto sham, which I would assume allows you to get ahead, allows you to pump food out a little quicker. Has that always been a fixture?
Yeah, we used to just have one alto sham on there just to hold, and now we have two alto shams. Alto sham, send the check, please. So we have two now, and those are, I think we can put 5 or 6 full sheet pans in there at one time, so it holds a lot of food. And especially so I've seen trucks that, they'll have the commissary and then they have to go to point A to point B. Well, how do you carry your food hot, right? I don't understand how that doesn't work, So so we have a generator on board as well as much as we also have the landline cord that we can, hook up to something else as well. But, you have to travel with your food hot and cold, so the alto shams are a really great benefit to the truck then.
Excellent. Well said, man.
Because you could cook ahead of time, even if you're there 20 minutes earlier. Let's say you do a tray of burgers then, and then you're ahead. Usually our line, so if we look at another food truck and you see a long line, that's because either they're not doing the right, they're not organized enough, or the product that they're making takes too long. Mm-hmm. And on the food truck, we want to move people in and out. Usually the order will go out, people order, and that order is almost ready to go after that money is collected. It's pretty fast.
That's awesome. All right, I want to go all the way back to the beginning in terms of how I met you guys. In the first part is our mutual friend, actually our friend who, I think last time I walked in, you guys had a wooden cutting board with his image carved into it. Rick Tremano, of course, another podcast guest. He was actually in the very first episode we did, all about kind of, why meat matters in the world. Tell me about, so I met you. Actually, Rick called me and said, "Hey, I've got this guy here I need you to meet. His name is Greg." Tell me about that. You guys are getting started, and there just happens to be, a 2-time James Beard Award winner, one of the iconic American chefs in history. He's just hanging out in your kitchen with you guys.
Well, Rick and I clicked. We did a Culinary Fight Club event one time, and Rick was one of the judges. And of course, everybody was doing, pork or something like that. We decided to do fish. So we did fish that day. We did these beautiful red drum fishes, and Rick's a big fish guy, so he was very intrigued. We happened to win that day, and then I don't know, we started, talking, hanging out, and then we became pals. It's kind of, we have rock and roll. He's a big metalhead as well, so we have that common ground as well, and food.
Yeah. All right. Tell me about how did you get into cooking? Because your background, you have one of the most interesting. You have one of those resumes like, I always think of like Bo Jackson, who's actually like not far from here. We're in Palatine, Illinois. I think he's down in another one of the suburbs. But you hear these stories. Greg did this. Greg did that. You're like, did he really do that? I mean, how did you get into all of this? Because your background isn't necessarily in cooking.
No, it's not. I mean, I have an art background, so I opened my main company, Shockwaves, which I've had for over 33 something years. We do screen printing, embroidery. I do a lot of signage out of there. I do a lot of woodworking out of there as well. So that was basically, I had a lot of odd jobs. I always wanted to be in the industry, culinary industry. I always wanted to cook or be a chef. And I really never had the time to do it. So Shockwaves allowed me then, as we progressed, to, transfer over my time, to split my time between there and here then, so I could do this as well.
Excellent. And you just dabbled in the kitchen, picked things up. I mean, obviously coming from an art type background, your brain works a little differently than maybe your standard recipe followers.
Yeah, it's being creative. So that's the cool thing about it, is just being creative. And creativity, and art, it works in food. It works in all different aspects then.
Well said. All right, I got to ask you. Tell me about the tattoos. Right, you and Christina from early on in your relationship, you guys would have dates to go get tattoos,
yeah.
right? I mean, yeah.
We would go downtown. We'd go get tattoos, and we'd go to Kuma's, and eat and drink afterwards, and just nurse our tattoo wounds and whatever, and go from there. And then that was our fun thing. Now we go shooting instead. That's our Tuesday date night. We go to the range and go shoot.
Excellent. Do you have a favorite tattoo? You are the only person. So I've got an old school certified Angus beef tattoo on my arm. You are the only person I know with a Cisco tattoo.
I do. It was one of those things. We were at an event and somebody said, you wouldn't do it, and I was like, don't tell me that. And then I got the Cisco tattoo, so it's a good thing,
Excellent. And they do good work, right? They take care of you.
Cisco's a great company for us. We do a lot of great stuff with them.
Outstanding.
Good things happen through Cisco.
Send the check, right?
Yeah.
All right, so tell us what's next. You guys, we mentioned at the very beginning, this particular space that's been your home since really the birth of Chicago Culinary Kitchen. It's going to be a Tex-Mex place. You guys have something big coming up.
Not Tex-Mex. It'll be fusion, basically, but this will not be Tex-Mex like that. This will be strictly tacos, margaritas, stuff like that. Kind of, let's say, Big Star kind of, there's a couple places that I emulate from, that I want to emulate from. I've been watching a lot of Netflix. Taco Chronicles is a great one. I love that Sonora Town. I also like Los Tacos #1 out of New York. So I like that style where it's basically, it's I don't want to call it fast food. It's fast casual. So, you either, like, I think with dealing with who knows when this BS is going to end. So having fast casual where it's in and out takeout even works really well that way. Yeah. So that's what we're basing it on, but we'll do some traditional stuff, and then we'll do a lot of fusion tacos as well.
Beautiful. And where's this place going?
This will move down the street to a larger location. We'll be at Lake Cook Commons, Lake Cook and Hicks. We'll be in probably 4 times the size of the space then, and this will be an open kitchen concept, and the outside deck is going to be phenomenal. It'll be probably one of the best decks in the area.
Excellent. And when do you guys expect to be open?
I'm guessing somewhere January, February. Building something takes always longer than you think.
And it having nothing to do with the actual building process, right?
Well, getting your subs in a row, all that other stuff, getting your permits, it always, it just takes time.
Yeah. All right, well, tell us about the new space. You guys are, bigger, larger, louder, more fire, things like that. What are you guys going to have there?
I think our new claim to fame will be, oh man, somebody's gonna steal this. So we're gonna do something called a Texas breakfast. So we spell breakfast the same like Texas.
Yeah.
And we'll be taking barbecue, and so we'll do like a brisket and gravy, right? Maybe with a poblano sauce or something like that. So something different, but we'll have like pancake boards and all that. I think once a month we'll do a pajama party on Sunday, so everybody can come straight, have beer for breakfast, that type of atmosphere. We'll open a little bit early, but we basically take the same barbecue and transfer it over into, let's say, breakfast food then. Pulled pork on a cornbread pancake, stuff like that.
Beautiful. All right, walk us through. You are sort of known for, at least to me, you're known for somebody who does their homework to the nth degree before doing anything, right? I mean, you take the time, you research, you make sure things are as authentic as can be. I know obviously you spent a lot of time down in Texas when you were doing Texas barbecue. I know you were on a Tex-Mex kick for a long time as well. In your travels, especially with your affinity for Texas barbecue and things like that, if you could give us a rundown of some of your favorite barbecue places that you've been to as you've been out
in Texas,
anywhere.
It's hard because there's so many different places with certain different things. I really like Schmitty's. I just like it because you are thrown back in history, and that's what you get there. And I like that they don't have there's no silverware there, and you know what, it's the same attitude we have here. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. If you don't like this, I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of take it or leave it. That's pretty much how it is there. I like those old school places in Lockhart. I do like the new school stuff. I mean, we've been to Franklin's twice. I never ate there once because we never could get in, and I just didn't have the patience to wait 4 hours in line. So we never tried that. But a lot of times when you go to certain places, though, too, sometimes you may be disappointed in what you're like, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying barbecue, just whatever, but you're like, the hype is not there anymore. Yeah. You're like, I try this, I'm like, I don't understand what the hype is. Yeah. But, I like La Barbecue. That I'm talking in Austin. Friedman's was fun, if you've never been. That's. You keep on naming different. Yeah. There were some odd places. Valentina's I liked. Yeah. There was a weird place that we went by Valentina's. It was all kind of like weird stuff outside. I don't remember the name of it. Yeah. But it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Outstanding.
Yeah.
On that note, Greg Gaardbo, Chicago Culinary Kitchen, in Palatine, Illinois, and I'll go ahead and throw this plug in there. When you fly into Chicago, the thing I always dread is having to get in a rental car and drive towards downtown because it's like an hour it's an hour plus to go like 19 miles.
Yeah.
So before you do that, prepare yourself, drive in the opposite direction on I-90, come up to Palatine. Especially now, you guys will have expanded hours at the new.
We'll be open for lunch and dinner. We're not going to be open that late. Kind of like Evie Mays is open. I don't know what time do they even open till. I think till sellout. And that's that. You still got to do the sellout thing.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Greg Gaardbo, Chicago Culinary Kitchen. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Amen. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Back here on the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand, Bryan Chef Tony Biggs, talking all things food trucks. Man, Chef, there is a cocktail bar in Tremont, in Cleveland. Will Hollingsworth, a great friend of ours, owns it, right? They don't do food. You go to this cocktail bar, right? You get a couple cocktails. It's glorious. You walk outside at the top of the hill. The Barrio food truck is sitting there. Wow. It's like a beacon in the night. Two gentlemen manning the Barrio food truck, just waiting with tacos in hand. And it's I was having this discussion with a couple chef friends, after 2 a.m.
Oh, that's you're seeing more of that, that collaboration with bars and food trucks.
Yeah.
The bars don't want to mess with food. Yeah. They don't want to mess with the labor. They don't want to mess with the food cost. So, hey, why not have a food truck out there?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a safety type of thing. Hey, maybe you had a couple too many beers, right?
Yeah.
And now you're going to get a nice shawarma, fresh right off the stick with a beautiful pita bread and some tzatziki sauce, and voila, you're home free.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but 2 years ago I was in our local grocery store down the street, and I drove up and I went, "Whoa, are you kidding me? What is this?" Well, Johnsonville Brats, I'm going to give them a little shout out. They had their big grill truck. Now, this is an 18-wheeler grill truck that they go around the country and serve their bratwurst, okay? Now, I'm working on the same idea, okay? I am. And I had a company that we collaborated with, and they did a beautiful design of a new certified Angus beef food truck, 18-wheeler. But ours is going to have like a Santa Maria grill, and, I mean, we're going to be able to do a half a cow, 300 pounds on this grill. Once it's approved, okay? I hope you guys are listening. Once it's approved. Okay?
No pressure, guys.
No pressure, guys, but now it's out there, right? Can you imagine getting a police escort in downtown Austin, Texas with, our beautiful food truck, right?
I mean, I only hope that you're going to be the one driving it.
I need my license.
Well, and you probably need to work on like your CB radio lingo as well. You'd be like, "We got a great big convoy pulling in here."
Listen, I can't even drive a U-Haul to move my apartment. I mean, now you're going to give me an 18-wheeler, right? I can't turn that corner.
That'd be glorious. Those, Chef, you mentioned the Johnsonville truck, right? There are certain foods that just work, right? The highly, food trucks are portable. Portable food is what works, right? Because if I'm going to get something, I don't really want to get something that I have to like find a table to feast on, right? What works?
Well, you've seen everything, Brian, in a food truck, right? From corn dogs to nachos. The nachos, the cheese sauce is dripping all over you, Well, you get the kids. I personally like the innovative type of food that's on food trucks, like a shawarma, an authentic shawarma that's being carved right off the grill, beautiful pita bread. I love a pho, right? I mean, you can make these type of things in your commissary, and they're easily be put into a steam table and easily served, like within minutes. And that's what people want. You don't want a line, dragging out for a half an hour. You want people to serve. Tacos, really good, right? Tacos, amazing.
Yeah.
Tacos are in right now. Who doesn't love tacos, right?
One of my favorite Mexican food trucks, obviously we mentioned Barrio just now, but it lives over by the Akron, Canton area. It's called the Funky Truckeria. It's phenomenal tacos.
I haven't had that.
It's over in your neck of the woods. You should totally,
yeah. I'm going to go see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to see it. But like a brisket sandwich. A brisket sandwich with some beautiful pickles, a nice aioli on there, and a potato bun. Amazing. These are things you can cook in your commissary, bring it to a location, and voila, you're serving hundreds of people.
Amen. I will also say, this should come as no surprise if you listen to the podcast right here, burgers, right? In the Chicago Culinary Kitchen burger that they push out off that food truck, it's not just a great burger for a food truck. It's a great burger anywhere.
I think they're using three kinds, right?
Yeah.
Three different blends of meat, brisket, round, and chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they blend that, and then they fry the onions right underneath. Oh.
Yeah, it's just it's perfection, actually, another one of my favorite burger trucks is a gal in Cleveland. The truck is called Betty's Bomb Ass Burgers. Let me tell you what, it's good burgers, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to give another shout out here because I think this is what people are doing for studies of areas. I keep seeing the Chick-fil-A truck down in one of the churches down the street selling out of their food truck. And I was thinking, okay, they're doing a demographic study here because they want to see how many Chick-fil-A. And they're right down the street from the certified Angus beef. But I love Chick-fil-A, okay? Don't get me wrong. I love double pickle and mayo, okay?
All day long. You know what's funny about the Chick-fil-A truck? because I notice it here too. People line up for the Chick-fil-A truck. And I'm saying this, I love Chick-fil-A, right? I'm a big fan. People line up for the Chick-fil-A truck, like in the line, like it's like Franklin barbecue. Like it's 3 hours long. And I'm like, guys.
I love Chick-fil-A. I'm with you. I just wish somebody was out there like saying, hey, how are you, sir? Can I take your order? You know? I mean,
so that's to be clear, we are certified Angus beef, but every once in a while we do indulge in the poultry as well.
Pizza and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to expose myself too much, but pre-COVID, the folks who worked the Chick-fil-A in the Cleveland Hopkins Airport knew me by name. Yeah, I tend to hit that a little bit.
Here's your dozen, Brian. Thanks for...
yeah, we know what this guy wants. And on that note, we are going to put a bow on this episode. I don't even know which episode this is. It's season 2. It's like 14 or 15. I don't know. But this is the Meat Speak podcast powered by the certified Angus beef brand, not Chick-fil-A, certified Angus beef. I'm Brian Schaaf. This is Chef Tony Biggs. If this is your first time tuning in, know that you can catch us across all of your major podcasting platforms. The big ones, of course, Apple, Google Play, Spotify. I get a list of every platform that we appear on. I didn't know half of these existed. It's amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. Hey, you know what? We're gaining traction on our show.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, a few people have been calling me personally. I don't know how they. Are you giving my phone number out, by the way? Because I had to talk to this guy in Minnesota. I love him. We talked for an hour about the braised beef shank.
Yeah.
And he had listened to the podcast. So please tell your friends, tell everybody. We love you guys and gals.
I think we're going to put your cell phone on a billboard. You're going to be like
on a billboard
You're going to be
one
like the
time.
Butterball Turkey hotline guy.
I was
beef.
Santa Claus on a billboard in the Philippines at one time. I'm
amazing.
not kidding. Yeah, I wish I had a picture of that to show you.
Once again, Tony Biggs is the most interesting man on the planet. On that note, also, you can check us out by visiting certifiedangusbeef.com/podcast. That one actually is probably the best one because it's got our pictures there. You will notice, by now you're asking yourself, what happened to Diana? Don't worry, Diana is still with us. Diana Clark, meat scientist. She is across the way, across the parking lot. They're actually doing a photo shoot. They bring in these whole sides, and she's like a food stylist, but with raw beef. Like
she's busy today.
It's wicked awesome. Right?
Wicked awesome.
Awesome. For Chef Tony Biggs, I'm Brian Schaaf. This is the Meat Speak podcast powered by the certified Angus beef brand. Until next time, enjoy a delightful food truck.
Bon appetit.